Stone Roadie Show. Take one, roll one, and burn one down, and roll 'em if you got 'em. Alrighty then, fellows, Stone Roadie Dimension. Looky here, looky here. My name's Craig Reed, a.k.a. the Stone Roadie. And with me, as almost always, is my co-host, co-pilot, and the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. All right there, Griff. Well, this is podcast 341. And, it's Monday. And what is today? Monday, December the 15th. And Christmas is just right around the corner. And what the heck are we going to talk about today? Besides, I got all these donations or these prizes or all this stuff that we've been auctioning off. I think we're going to settle that up today. But, what are we going to talk about besides that there, Griff?
Well, I guess we can talk about that new Alan Collins video. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know why you haven't seen it yet, because it's all over the place when, somebody's put that out there. Supposedly it's a doctor. And of course, Kent Griffith said he's been emailing the guy back and forth. But we'll go ahead and play that right now so everybody can see it in case you haven't seen it. And then we'll come back and we'll get Craig's opinion of it. So let's take a look at that right now. So what do you think about that video there, Craig?
Well, I kind of recognized that apparatus he had there on his arm, and that was before he got that surgery, or had got an infection in that arm. And they almost had to amputate that arm, but that looks like the apparatus he had on there. And but after he got that arm operated on, that he had a great big scar there. He almost lost his arm, but it looked.
But supposedly that's not long after. That's like a few days after the accident, according to what I read, or 7 days or something like that. So, there's a lot of people saying that it's AI. There's people saying that that was later on. And, of course, Gene had his thoughts about it. And, he said, ain't no way in hell that was right after the accident. And then there's a big controversy over the guitar and the amplifier that he's playing. And was it Steve Gaines' guitar? And where did the amp come from? Where did the guitar come from? And how'd they get it there? And all of that kind of stuff.
Well, the truck when it was down in Baton Rouge, and when they heard about the airplane crash, they went to Texas. And the lights up Clear Light, that was Ron Eckerman's lighting company. They were in Texas, and when they left Baton Rouge, they went right down to Texas and dropped off the lighting gear, which was on the back of the truck. And they had to get rid of that so they could unload the band gear. And they went, as far as I know, they went directly from Texas right to Jacksonville and loaded the band equipment right into the warehouse. And it stayed. It went in there, and that's where it stayed. So that Steve's guitar, I don't know. I don't remember. It wasn't in the plane, and it had to be in that truck, and that truck went directly to Jacksonville, so that couldn't have been Steve's guitar. I don't see how it could have been, but they had a banded. I guess they had a banded amp there at the hospital. But Alan was in Jackson. I was in Macomb Hospital. And I was unconscious. I would have been unconscious when all that was going on anyway. So I can't really giving authoritative opinion on the whole thing, really. But that's, I know that truck went to Texas and then it went to Jacksonville and unloaded the band gear. So yeah, it's
Well,
beyond. I don't really
I
know.
try to look at it from a practical standpoint, like why were they doing it? Okay, if you ask me from a practical standpoint, I think that the doctors were probably trying to set his arm to where he could play the guitar uh, as close to the way he could play it before. So, maybe they were testing to say, okay, maybe we need to tweak, re-break his arm, or tweak this, or tweak that to get it to go back to, or were they seeing could he play the guitar, and what could they do to fix it? And then, of course, doctors are always thinking how to make money, so they probably recorded it so they could say, "Look what we did for Alan Collins, and we can do that for you." So, if you want
That
my
doesn't
opinion.
appear like his arm was broke. That apparatus, I don't know what that apparatus was, but it doesn't appear like it was broke. He would have had a cast on it. It seems like.
Well, it
I
had a
don't
big
know.
hole in it. You could see the bone in there,
Yeah,
So I don't believe they'd have put that on there unless it was broke because they had to splint it.
I don't know.
So, but more to come on that. There's some people that are working on it, and they're going to try to come up with the solution to where the guitar came from and where the amp came from. And I think Kent Griffith said he was in communication with the doctor that posted it, and according to him, the doctor got pissed off because everybody was saying it was AI. And so, but that AI, man, that's it's out there so much you don't know what to believe anymore. Because when I first saw that, I thought it was AI too, but you don't know. Just like the song, you just have no way of knowing. But yeah, so any thoughts and comments? Anybody that might know anything about that, go ahead and chime in on the comments. And then another thing too, Craig, is you posted on Facebook that picture of of the fastest guitar change out. I'll put that up right here. You said something about you wish you had that picture without your signature on it. What happened to the picture? You signed it and sent it off somewhere?
somebody sent me that picture to sign, and I signed it, and then I thought, oh, I'm gonna copy this. So I copied after I signed it. Yeah, I don't think I have had a copy of it unsigned, but it was somebody, what do you call that? Still framed it off a video, and yeah, made a picture of it. But and somebody sent me a picture of it without me signing it. Yeah, but Alan, that kind of freaked him out when I come around the corner with that guitar because I wasn't his guitar tech or roadie. And that Chuck Flowers was, and I was on the other side of I was on stage right, and I saw him break a string, and he kind of was looking around for Chuck, and I saw Chuck was busy, so I just took off running and ran over to the stage left and grabbed a guitar, and he was tired of waiting for Chuck, so he kind of was going to exit stage left, and he was just taking his guitar off and unplugging it just as I come around the corner with the guitar, and it was just like he took it off and I put that on, and he played. He went, man, that was the fastest guitar change I ever seen.
Well, who took the picture?
I don't know. It was a video. Somebody had the video
Oh,
of it
so it's a
somewhere.
screenshot from the
Somebody
video.
screenshotted it.
Is a video out there somewhere?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yeah, it's on.
Seemed like we played that video one time
Yeah,
before.
it's on one of the real popular videos that's out there playing, but it's just really short. You have to really it's just a short thing, where um
Oh,
they did it.
well, as you were just you were lucky you were able to. I guess Alan was happy that you were there anyway, huh? That you saw what was
It
going
seems
on.
like it happened during What's Your Name?
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think that's when it happened.
Then we had a little bit of a. We thought
Oh
we
no, you
finished.
got that right. I'm sorry. That's what happened.
You got that right, yeah.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to be having Pepper Pyle on here. We had a little thing going where we were going to get her on here, and then turned out it didn't work out. So Craig and I, we were hoping to bring you Pepper Pyle this morning, and then we got the call that no, that's not going to happen. So Craig and I, we're kind of just at the point now where we're like thinking, you know what, that's bullshit. It ain't never going to happen. So we ain't even going to even get hopped up on it ever again because we don't,
Yeah,
you know.
we adjusted our whole schedule to work around it, and then it didn't happen. We're kind of going, well,
Yeah.
we didn't have nothing planned here, so we're kind of just playing it by ear, like most of the time we do, anyways. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't, I go through the comments and the questions, and then I've got those already. But I thought, okay, I won't have to do that because we'll be having Pepper Pile on. That'll be enough. And then right at the last minute, it didn't happen. So I had to jump in through my ass to get these comments and questions written down so we can go over those. And then I still haven't contacted Janelle Caldwell, Toy Caldwell's daughter. I'm gonna probably wait till after the holidays to do that because if I contact her and go, hey, you said you were gonna come on, she'll probably say, well, why don't we wait till after the holidays? So I'll wait and then see what happens with that. So I'm not going to get too excited. There's been a lot of times we've tried to get people on here and we talk about it and we get hopped up over it and then it doesn't happen. So we probably ought to just not even mention it anymore. And that way, if it happens, it happens. If it, I was kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I guess we can go ahead and jump into the comments and questions, and then after that, we'll talk about the auctions and how much money that the survivors have coming, and then we'll just go ahead and close it out for a Monday. You got anything else, Craig, before we jump?
Well,
into
last week I was going to mention that, December the 7th, that's when I met Lynyrd Skynyrd the first time for 52 years ago on the 7th at the Holiday Inn, and then the 8th they played in Kent. I went to that show, and then the 9th they played in Akron, and then the 10th they played up the Smiling Dog Saloon, and then the 11th they actually came, Ed and Bob and Billy and Leon actually came to my house, and that's when Ed asked me if I'd ever thought about maybe getting a job with the. He said, you ever think you might want to consider maybe working for the band sometime?" I said, "Doing what?"
Yeah, and then when you said that, then I realized he didn't tell you doing what meant getting the drugs, because every time you met them, they were like, "Hey, do you have any of this? Do you have any of that? Can you get any of this? Can you get any of that?" And so I'm thinking, you know, Ed King was probably like, "Hey, man, this guy can." That must have been some good weed that you had when you first met him, or something.
Oh yeah,
maybe, huh?
yeah. I used to get some good weed. Well,
And
I
then
got
you
weed.
got him
That's where
something.
that girl that called me from Florida. That's who I used to get my weed off of, from Florida. She'd bring it up here to Ohio. And, yeah.
And so then the next time you saw them, they came over to your house so they could get something to keep them awake for the drive back. And that's when you said, "Yeah, I could get you something." And that's when Ed goes, "You ever think about working for the Lynyrd Skynyrd band?" "We're doing what?" "We're getting them some damn drugs. That's what."
It was funny. Here last week, I went and rented. No, I didn't actually rent it. I looked for it at the library and everything, and they didn't have it. And I actually looked on YouTube and found the movie Roadie from 1980 with Meatloaf, where
Really?
he played the character Travis Redfish, and he was drove a beer truck, and they were driving that beer truck, and they found Hank Williams Jr.'s equipment thing broke down, so Meatloaf fixed it, and they asked him if he wanted to be a roadie, and he went with them to the next show, and then And it was funny because he was kind of like me, started out doing something totally different and ended up being a roadie. And then he became the world's greatest roadie, and he got this reputation of being the world's greatest roadie. But he I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie, but he did an outdoor show, and the town it was during the conservation thing, and the town was trying to conserve power, so they cut his power off. So they asked him to come up with a way to power up this big live concert. So he built this generator out of old parts and stuff and powered it with dry cow manure. So
God.
you know he was famous for doing spectacular things as a roadie. He was the world's greatest roadie, contrary to me being the most famous roadie, just because I worked for a crazy band and I was on an airplane crash and I had a song wrote about me and stuff. But I don't
Well,
know.
what year was that movie made?
1980.
80?
1980. Yeah,
Man, that was a,
it had Roy Blondie, it had Alice Cooper and Blondie and Roy Orbison and Hank Jr. in it.
I'll
It
be
was
damned. I never saw
yeah.
that before.
You never
Huh.
saw it?
Uh-uh.
Roadie, yeah, it's on YouTube. You can just get on YouTube and you can watch the whole movie on YouTube. Yeah,
Oh, I'll have to check that. I wish I'd
yeah,
have known. I'd have watched it. Yeah,
yeah,
before it
it's
came
pretty
on.
cool. It's also got Art Carney. Art Carney is in it
Oh,
too.
really? No
Yeah,
shit. The Honeymooners.
yeah. So
Damn. Yeah,
yeah,
that had to be pretty old. That Art Carney on there.
yeah. It's a pretty good movie. I liked it. Yeah.
I've probably seen it. I just don't remember it.
It's been so long since I seen it. There was parts of it I didn't remember. Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you see it back when it first came out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
You
see it
probably
every
didn't.
now and again, but yeah, there was parts in it I still forgot.
When you when you were with Leonard Skinner, did you guys ever go to the movies and watch movies?
The only
Where
no,
did you see
the
that
first
movie?
time I remember seeing a movie on the road was with Dale Rossington, and we went and saw Jurassic Park.
No shit.
Yeah,
Well, that's really not. Well, I guess that's probably 25 years ago, maybe.
yeah. I don't know.
But you've been to the movies before. When you were a kid, you went to the movies,
Well, yeah, I mean with the band
right?
as band
You
people go.
didn't see it
I
on
think I
like.
think we went before, but the only time I remember was with Dale, and we went and see Jurassic Park.
Well, Jackson Brown used to have one of those machines that was like a videotape thing when they used to watch stuff on the bus. You guys didn't watch stuff on the
Oh yeah,
bus?
we watched up on the bus.
What they
No,
call that? That it wasn't VCR. It was something. It was before VCR.
I don't know. We had a satellite dish on the bus, and we had beta.
Betamax. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because he talks about watching Richard Pryor on the Betamax. I guess it was.
we were first time we went to California. We went to see Monty Python's.
Oh, the Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy
Yeah,
Grail. I remember that. Yeah.
and Todd Rundgren was there, and it was a private showing, and the Skynyrd band was there, and Todd Rundgren was there, and I remember this was in 1974. He had green hair.
Oh
I never
yeah, yeah.
forget
He's
that.
still doing that. He's a huge liberal. As a matter of fact, he
Yeah.
changed his name. I think was on tour recently, and I think he changed his name because nobody's going to come see him. But yeah, yeah. So you guys, I wonder where you saw that roadie movie at then, Craig.
God, I
Was
don't
it on
know.
TV?
1980, damn, that was 45 years ago,
Maybe it
man.
was on TV or something.
Oh, it
Did they
was at
do?
the theater or something. I don't remember. I used to
Yeah,
go to the movies a lot, but it didn't go with the band,
right.
I'd go. It used to be the thing to do when you went out on dates to go to a movie, dinner and
I
a
remember
movie.
I saw that the movie The Titanic in Marathon Key, and the only movie theater in the Keys, I think, was in Marathon Key. You might have had one in Key West, but they didn't have any air conditioning in there. And God, man, that was a freaking hot as hell. Palmetto bugs flying around in there. That was that I remember. That's one of the most memorable movies that I remember seeing that sucked so bad because there was no air condition. But all right, well, I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into the comments and questions here, and then when we get done with that, we'll talk about the auction and how much the guys are getting. I did talk to Mark Howard uh, on the phone. He said, "Hey, I heard I'm getting some money," and I said, "Yeah, I got to ask Craig how much it is, though, but." To expect to get it somewhere around Christmas. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, to the comments and questions, Yogi Cole. To answer the question, who taught Artie Bob Burns parts? Remember last podcast?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Somebody asked a question about that, and says, from what Bob told him, I guess Yogi Cole was friends with Bob Burns or maybe had a discussion with him. And he said they brought Artie in several months before he left, before Bob left, to learn his parts. They even let Bob work up the crowd and play the whole show. And at times they would bring Artie in on stage to do the encore Freebird.
No, I
And
don't remember
he
that
said
at all.
Bob Burns told him that word for word.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't
We
remember
were in
that?
Europe, and Bob went. And Artemis came over there and did a interview with the band. They met him over there, and we were told not to tell Bob who it was or let on who it was that it was a drummer because Bob was all whacked out. And when we got on the plane, me and Joe Barnes got on they put me and Joe Barnes on the plane with Bob, and he sat in between us. And Ronnie said if he gets out of hand, just knock him out. And
Well,
he was
they
all weird on the plane, and we got off the plane, and he got off the plane and kissed the ground, and that was the last time I really saw Bob.
well,
He
they
didn't,
probably did bring Artie over there to watch him, to study him, so he could.
but yeah, but they never played on stage the same day at the same show. That never
Yeah.
happened. No.
Well, maybe Bob was just imagining that shit because I couldn't because I remember Joe Crimp telling me that he would be out at the Hell House property riding his horse and he'd hear Ronnie whistle and he'd go, "Oh shit." He said, "Every time I heard that shit," he said, "that meant they wanted me to come in there and play something on the drums." And whenever he did that, it upset Bob Burns because they would want to get Joe's opinion of how would you play this right here, Joe? And then it would kind of piss Bob off. So for Bob to know that Artie was there learning his parts, I don't think that would go over pretty good with Bob.
One time distinctly, I remember at rehearsal when they were trying to get Bob to play something, and he just couldn't get it. And I couldn't even play drums, and I was gonna go, "Hey, let me go in there. I can do that." It wasn't something that complicated, but Bob just
Yeah.
couldn't get it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just some things, man. It's just
That's why
some.
Ed didn't want Bob to play on "I Need You" because Ed said Ed just had this guy Mike Porter play on it because he said Bob didn't have no meter, You know, he didn't want
Oh
Mark to
yeah.
play on it. Yeah.
Huh. And then the weird thing too is that Ed was all for bringing Artemis in to the
Yes, he
band. He's
was.
kind of the one that, and yet in Canada, he's the one who kicked him out. He was he was part of the clan that got rid of him. So
Yeah.
I guess Artemis was
Well,
acting up
Bob,
a little bit.
Ed and Custer became pretty good friends then too.
Yeah,
Ed kind of brought Custer into the thing.
yeah. Ed
Uh,
brought a lot of people in, man. He brought you in. You
mm-hmm.
know, he brought. Didn't he bring Estes in too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then he brought Custer in.
I'm the one that initiated that introduction of Mike to the band. It was a rude introduction. I could have got fired over that one, but
Right. Well, what happened?
well, that Johnny was having a little bit of trouble writing words to a song Gary had written. Oh God, he titled it "Blessing in Disguise." And there was a long time where Johnny was just going da 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 da. It was a blessing in disguise when they were playing it, and I was going, God, and I got tired of hearing do 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 do. It was a blessing in disguise. That's all Johnny had. So I called up Mike. I goes, Mike, here's the melody, and I hummed the melody, and I goes, it's called Blessing in Disguise. Here's the melody. Write some freaking words. It wasn't 10 minutes. Mike wrote back and said, I got it. He goes, I'm gonna record it. And about 10 minutes later, he had it all on tape and everything, and he was playing it to me on the phone. And Ed King walked in the front door,
Oh God,
and he
man.
went, "What the hell's going on? Who's that singing? That's our song. What the hell's going on?"
No way.
And I told Ed, I says, "Well, yeah, this is my friend," and I kind of told him about this song, and I asked him to write some words on it because you guys were having trouble. He goes, "Does Johnny know you did that?" And yeah, they never did do this song. Mike did. I think Mike went ahead and did the song. It's a good song. It had three different stories.
So
in it.
how did it? Then what did Ed do? Go bring him in here, or what? What did he do?
Ed said, those are good words, man. That's a cool story. I want to meet this guy. And that's when Ed brought him in to help write. Yeah. And then after Mike left, Ed and Mike, worked together a lot.
Where
I
was
guess
Mike living when that happened?
Hamilton, Ohio.
Oh, really? He used to
hmm
live in Ohio too.
Hamilton, yeah.
Is that where you met him? Was in Ohio, or you know he
No,
called?
I was at the Rostenton Collins practice.
Yeah,
That's
and it
where I
was
had my office there, and
just
Mike.
coincidental
I was
that.
just down there messing around, and the phone rang, and I picked it up. Rostenton Collins band, and Mike says, "I don't believe I got to hold somebody with with the members of Lynyrd Skynyrd." He said, "Don't hang up on me. I'm a guitar player." He says, "Reason I'm kind of looking for a name of a band. You think you could help me out?" And I said, just hold on the phone a minute. I'll call Alan. Alan had some names of bands. So I put him on three-way. I went, Alan, what was one of them names of the bands you had when you and Gary talking about? He went, Hell and High Water. So that's what.
What? How far is Hamilton from where you live?
It's down there, Cincinnati. It's about 4 hours, 4 hour drive for me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wonder. So, did Mike ever? Did he end up moving down to Jacksonville?
No, he came. Well, he moved down there temporarily just to work. He came down there and played the still and all. He played where Skinner, played, but all those bars down there. He
Well, he
became
was
kind of
hanging around with Alan. He was hanging
hmm
around learning. So that's why I was wondering if he moved down there just so he could get his damn, foot in the
That's
door and learning some stuff from Alan, you know.
that's when they had a battle of the bands down in Jacksonville, and the winner was going to open up for the Alan Collins band at Hannah Beach, and Helen Highwater was down there, and so they won the battle of the bands, and the bands down there were pissed off because they said they're not a local band, you know, but me and Alan wanted them on there, so yeah, so yeah, they opened up for Alan at the Hannah Beach in Jacksonville. That was like the first show Alan did at the beach. Yeah.
So
But
how long of a time was it when that happened that Mike ended up working for Skynyrd? It's quite a while, wasn't it?
yeah, that was '84, and then God, Mike didn't join the band until '92, '94, yeah,
Yeah.
'94, I think. Yeah.
And that was it Ed, it was Ed King's idea to bring Mike
So it
in.
was '85. It was
Right.
10 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. We need to get old Estes back on. It sounds like he's not doing anything right now. We ought to try to get him on because I see him on Facebook all the time. I don't think he's touring over in Europe or anything, so maybe he's.
I think he's got a shoulder issue, don't he?
I thought he had that fixed, and I think he's all right now. But anyway, moving along on the questions, Rick Walker, aka the Jackass, says that podcast number 333 and the last podcast are the best podcasts in his opinion. Always good when you got Gene on. Yeah, 333 was when I went to the monument, and that was a really, I think you're right about that. Number 333. That was one of those deals. You guys go back and watch 333 because that was one of those deals where everything just fell in place accidentally. Unlike, you know, when we thought we were going to get Pepper Pyle on. But yeah, 333. I was just running into all kinds of cool people and at the monument. That was probably the best visit I think I've ever had was at the monument. Was that last time I was there, and Rick was there. Got to meet Rick. Of course, Rick he was on the last podcast where Gene went over the story about his book and everything. So. Yeah, you're probably right there, Rick. Although you guys got to check out the Steve Reynolds. I think Steve Reynolds, the 1 and 2 are some of the highest viewed of our podcasts, and that's Steve Reynolds and I took his boat to the Hell House dock, went down Peters Creek, and that's Steve Reynolds, man. He's got some stories. So if you guys haven't seen, I don't know the numbers of those podcasts, but I think if you were to just type in the Stone Roadie Show Steve Reynolds, it would pop up. And you guys haven't seen that. That's some skin formation right there, Steve Reynolds. And more to come with Steve Reynolds. He's got another one of Alan's guitars that a friend of his has, and he's supposed to get it, and we're supposed to take a look at that. So I haven't heard anything lately about that. Of course, I'm still working on after the holidays, getting with Joe Crimp. Maybe at the same time, I'll do an on the road with Steve Reynolds. We'll get that guitar, and then we'll do a Joe Crimp thing. Maybe we can get Derek Hess to come. So, but you know, you can shit in one hand and wish in the other. How's it go, Craig? Wish in one hand and shit in the other.
Yeah, I wish you might have shit in the other. Yeah. See which one fills up the fastest.
Then Ronnie, 5129. What's up with Barry Harwood lately? Well, he's playing with Artimus Pyle band, and he's still with them, as far as I know. That's been a pretty long stint. Old Barry Lee's been playing with Artimus.
Yeah, I heard that
And,
was just a temporary thing, but he's been with them for a while now. Yeah.
And what prompted us to get Pepper Pyle on was she put a long thing on Facebook talking about her dad, and she was going to come on the podcast and tell everybody the story about how he was not guilty of what he was accused of with the sexual thing with her and her sister. And we thought, that'd be great for these people to hear. And of course, it didn't happen. But also, I think did Artemis just have another heart episode or something here recently, Craig? What happened with him?
I don't know anything about that heart issue. I heard that rumors that he did have some kind of something happened, some kind of heart issue, but I'm not privy to try to explain it because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I could bring up this this thing here. I actually had Chad Lisa's. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, this is what she posted on Facebook. So I can read this because she posted this on Facebook. Guess this needs to be addressed for those who still believe what they read online. My father, Artimus Pyle, was charged in 1991 for false allegations. My mother lied about him touching his daughters inappropriately when we were 3 and 4 years old. There was zero evidence and zero proof of these allegations. Of course, because he was famous, it got blown all out of proportion. If anyone has met my father, then none of these things are true. I honestly feel in my heart that someone who has that kind of issue will keep doing it. And he's never been known to be that kind of person. Only a sick, twisted mind to try to get money from someone would blame him for that. I'm here today to tell you my father did not molest me or my sister. He is the most loving and kind human I have ever met. He cares deeply for people and would never hurt anyone. He loves animals and treats the earth with respect. I will stand and defend him until I'm no longer here. For all those leaving comments without knowing the truth, please educate yourself. My dad works extremely hard. He still rents a house, does not have a huge amount of royalties coming in, and cuts his own lawn at his house that he rents at 77 years old. I'm shocked that people still call him out on this. That was over 30 years ago, and it never happened. Meet the man, talk to him for 5 minutes, and you'll see what kind of human he is. Don't believe everything you hear from those who don't know the truth. I'm here, ask me. I'll tell it to you straight. My dad has done nothing but love me as a father should. I know as a woman I was never molested. As for my mother, shame on her for doing what she did. She has to live with that for the rest of her life. I know firsthand as a woman who actually has been in this situation with men or fathers, uncles and grandpas, it's a very real situation. So for someone to make false allegations when there are people out there struggling, I believe my mother should be mentally evaluated. Hope this is clear some things up. I hope this clears some things up for you people. Have a blessed day and don't forget to go outside. So I guess, in other words, her mother is the one that started all the false accusations on there. And she was going to come on the podcast and clear all that up, but that didn't happen. And if she ever does, then we welcome her to come on here, but we'll see. if I don't think Artemis is going to let her.
Well, I never believed any of that because I spent a lot of years on the road with Artemis, and during all those years, all the rest of us, band and crew, except for Artemis and Steve, thoroughly took advantage of all the loose women that were out there, you know. And Artemis just never got involved in all that stuff. So when all that stuff came out, I went, that's not conducive of the way that I remember that I know Artemis to be. So I never believed any of that stuff.
And she is right about how once you do that, you continue doing that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
He
like an
was never like that
alcoholic.
on the
Yeah.
road. I mean, I never saw Artemis with groupies. Never saw Steve with groupies. Everybody else took full advantage of the whole situation, but Artemis and Steve never did.
And from what I understand, he doesn't like her to talk about it because he feels like it's an embarrassment to her. And there's really nothing that he can do about the allegations. So why keep bringing it up? But in her opinion, she wants to clear his name, I think, before he's no longer around, and kind of wants to see, that for firsthand for himself that, that he's been cleared of it. So I get what she's trying to do, and more power to her. I think from on an outsider's, like somebody who's not within the inner circle of Lynyrd Skynyrd, like you and Craig and you and Chad and people that were around Artemis, is I think he probably feels like when he was being accused of all that stuff that nobody backed him up out of the band. I think they all kind of like just let him get accused and didn't vouch for him or anything, because that would make you bitter if you were accused of something like that and nobody took up for you or anything. So I could see why he'd be pissed off. I mean, if somebody that would ruin your life, and it has ruined his life. It has.
Yeah, he
I
he
mean,
gets he'll get shows booked, and then the promoter will find out about that, and they'll cancel his shows. Yeah, so it,
yeah,
it
he
has
got kicked
it
off
has
the Southern Rock
drastically.
Cruise for that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
so poor guy, didn't do that, and his daughter's, saying that he didn't do it, and look at what he's had to deal with. More power to Dolly Parton because she looked past all that stuff and said, you know what, she made an album with him, and she didn't judge him, so I don't think she believes any of that crap either. So you gotta love old Dolly Parton. Um, Moving along into comments and questions. Um, Let me see here. Cheesehead, I think it is, or yeah, I believe it's Cheesehead, says, Griff, you're about the only one that has enough uh, mental capacity to, that can go in and dissect Craig's brain and get all of the stories out of his extract them from his mind. Well, I've been around lots of people like Craig my entire life, but Craig, he'll like if you ask Craig something, and he's so sick of hearing about it, or he doesn't really think it's that important, that he skips over all the cool shit. So I got to back up and go, Craig, man, wait a minute, man. What are you, that's the whole thing is you gotta back up with Craig, and you got to get in there and dig it out of him. So, Craig, a lot of things too. It's been so long, he's forgotten a lot of that stuff, and he doesn't find it interesting. And I know as the viewers looking in that, about what you guys are looking for. So I try to stay on topic with him, and Craig will tell a lot of people, to F off. And, I don't like when I first met Craig. I noticed that people were scared of him, They were like, "Hey, would you ask Craig so and so?" And I'd be like, "Well, why don't you ask him?" "Oh man, I'm kind of scared to ask him." Well, all he can do is tell you no or whatever. So that's how we ended up doing the podcast because I would ask the questions and I wasn't scared to ask him because, like I said, all he can do is just say he don't know or no or whatever. But yeah, so I remember being around John Neal and Craig, and old John Neal is Craig's buddy. He kind of looks out after Craig. He's kind of like his handler. And I remember one time John came over to Craig's house and I was there, and Craig was driving John's car, and and the keys got lost somehow. Do you remember that, Craig? The keys got lost. And so John goes, "Craig, where's my keys?" And Craig goes, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, you were driving the car last." And Craig says, "Yeah, but I gave them to you." And then John goes, "No, you didn't." And Craig just said, "Yeah, you did." And he walked off. He just walked off and went to the back room. And John goes, "Hey, man, where are you going?" He says, "Where's my keys?" And he goes, "I told you I gave them to you." And he was done. Right. And so John was freaking out. He's like, "Man, what, I got to find my keys. That's the only pair I got. I got to go home in the morning. And I said, "Well, take a breath, man. I'll help you look for the keys." And turns out Craig was right. Craig gave him the keys back and he found them in one of his bags somewhere or something. I actually found the keys, but he was getting pissed off at Craig. But when Craig gets to a point where he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, he's done. And that's just the way he is, man. He's just, he doesn't want to talk about it. He's done, and you're on your own. In other words, John, if you didn't find your keys, tough shit.
Maybe that's why I've been married 5 times.
I think so, man.
I'm done talking about that.
It's just like, he don't give a shit anymore. And I think being around that band and doing all the crazy stuff, being on a plane crash, there's some things that are important and there's some things that aren't. And stuff like that just aren't important, especially if they're not your keys.
Just like I know I've been to the movies with different band members to see stuff, and the only one I remember is that Jurassic Park with Dale. And I know I've been to other ones, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you say, man, that was a long time ago, since 1974. My God.
I'll be 75 in February. Yeah, I'm 3/4 of a century old.
You're only with them for 4 years too, so I mean, and the time you met them, it was like full speed ahead, and then
it was like jumping on a rocket ship. It was just,
and then it came to a crash and halt.
Yeah.
It was breakneck speed.
I mean, God, the first
thing
I did was meet John Lennon. I mean, God, where do you go from there,
Well, Ringo Starr.
Everybody else after that was just fine. You ain't nobody.
Yeah.
I was in the studio with the Eagles for 6 weeks, and got all kind of people come into that record plant. My God,
and then you were talking about that time you flew into that concert on a helicopter with Ann and Nancy Wilson. Hart, and you all were in a helicopter and you flew in. What concert was that?
It was in Sedalia, Missouri. That was as big as Nebworth. There was 500,000 people there. There was 3 stages, and Wolfman Jack was there. That was crazy.
How many people were on the helicopter other than you and Hart?
It was the Hart, just the Hart band and me, and I don't know, maybe one other person or something. I don't know.
That's freaking crazy. You've had to fly into Nebworth on a helicopter too, didn't you?
I didn't. No, I was in there in the truck. I had to go there 3 days. We had to be there 3 days early. with the equipment because there was so many people there you couldn't get near the place. Yeah, all the band came in helicopters, but I had to be there 3 days early. Everybody else came in helicopters.
Well, you're getting somewhere when they fly in a damn helicopter. And then moving along in the comments, says, the new song sounds too phony. It's so good it sounds phony. That's what I'm getting from a lot of people. It sounds phony because it just sounds too damn good.
I still listen to it and go, that's incredible. Yeah. Especially the ending, "Long live Lynyrd Skynyrd."
Yeah, that is
Long
really good
live
ending.
Skynyrd. And then the ending, then it goes into that guitar part, and then da 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 da.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens after the first of the year. Those guys are supposed to get in touch with me and let me come record them do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Have we figured out? Well, we're recording this early, so I don't know what we're going to play for an intro.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get off of here because we were going to play the whole song again when we had Pepper Pyle on here because we know a lot of people would be watching it. A lot of people that claim they don't watch it, that don't want to claim they watch it, and that we wanted them to hear that song.
Oh, yeah. There's certain people I'd like to hear that song. They go, yeah. God damn, that's a good song.
Yeah, people that Craig thinks doesn't.
I've heard people tell me that's the best song they've ever heard.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Some guy the other day told me that's the best song I've heard in a long time. Seriously.
And if it's AI, then it's a damn good AI song. I've heard a lot of good AI songs. So, but that AI is destroying everything. It's even got people questioning, is that Alan Collins playing that guitar with that brace on? You can't do anything anymore without it, somebody questioning it, is it AI, because that AI is so good. So it's like the chemtrails. The latest thing I heard about the chemtrails, Craig, was that those are remote planes that they're flying those remotely because they can't get anybody to poison themselves.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's the latest thing I heard. So, but that's often the conspiracy theorist thing. So I don't want to get it confused with Lynyrd Skynyrd Skinformation. James Hodenicky. Sorry about that, James. Didn't want to butcher your name there. I bought that blue book from Gene in Alpine Valley, Wisconsin in the late 80s during the tribute tour and had him sign it. Yeah, that blue book, man. Gene's got the new one, Volume 2, coming out, and he's working on that. So you guys, go back and watch that last podcast if you haven't seen it, because he talks about his new book in there, and that was the whole reason going over to Gene's house and promoting that. Curtis Boise, are the band shirts that you're selling on auction reprints, or are they genuine old stock? Well, you've got more to come on that. That actually has closed, that auction, hadn't it, Craig?
Yeah, we're done with that. We got to. Yeah, we've. Matter of fact, there was people bidding on the Rossington Collins band shirt. Yeah, there was a couple of people fighting over that last night, and that was the last one. And all those shirts went for good money. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and then Shady C, hey Craig, was Ronnie a Waylon Jennings fan?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he likes some of those old country singers.
Might have been. I just don't. Yeah. I just never heard him talk about.
That would be a question for Gene, because Gene knows what Ronnie's music taste was like. He can even tell you what the last song was that
I
he.
know he liked Merle Haggard.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Who came up for the name on the second Washington Collins album? This is the way.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Yeah.
No,
This is the way we are. See. Yeah.
is that what it is?
Yeah. This is the way we are. See, Washington Collins. This is the way we are. See.
Oh, okay. You don't know who came up with that?
Not really. I was there. I was right there when they came up with it, but I don't remember. Don't remember. If I was involved or at all or not. I'm not going to claim I was because I don't remember.
Paul Vale wants to know how many times do you know that Skynyrd performed in Canada? I'm thinking he's probably talking about the old Skynyrd, the original Skynyrd. Did you guys play in Canada quite a bit,
Yeah, we
Craig?
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really remember a lot. Yeah, with the new Skinner, we
You
played
almost
up.
got in trouble in Canada with some drugs, didn't you? Seemed
Yeah,
like.
that was with the new band. Yeah, yeah, I was. Well, Leon. Uh, we were coming back, and Leon kind of peed his pants.
Really?
Yeah, and I got off the plane with Leon, and we were together, and Leon took one of the blankets away off the plane, and the woman said, "You can't do that." And I told her what happened, and she just kind of let it slide. And we were going through security, yeah, and we went up to security, and the dog, because Leon peed himself, was keying on Leon, and since I was with Leon, they searched him, and then they searched me too, and I had all the drugs on me. But they didn't really search me; they searched my luggage, and they were going through my luggage, and they pulled out a whole thing of Ziploc baggies, and he held them there. Why you got a whole thing of Ziploc baggies? I said, "Oh, I do the band's wardrobe, when they go through the dressing room, they leave stuff in the dressing room. So I just, whatever they leave, rings or jewelries or earrings or whatever's in there, I put it in these plastic baggies, so, and then put it up on the thing the next day, and whoever it was can claim it. And he accepted that, and then he was going through another case and found a whole nother thing of baggies. He kind of questioned, I guess. They got a lot of shit.
What kind
There's
of
a
drugs did you have on you? And where'd
pot.
you
I
have?
had my pot and Gary's pot on me. Yeah, and they kept me at the thing, and all the band got on the bus, and they got the hell out of there, and they goes, oh, and everybody thought I was going to go to jail, and Gary said he'll be at the hotel before we get there, and and he was right. I was at the hotel before they got there. I took a cab, and I met him when they got off the bus. I was already there, and Gary said, "See, I told you."
Yeah,
He
you
talked his way
lucky.
out of anything. It's what he
You
told
lucky.
me.
That was good thinking, though. But what were you going to do with those Ziploc bags? You're going to get some weed in Canada or what?
No, that's what I actually did with them in the dressing room. Well,
Oh, okay.
they were multi-purpose, but yeah, they were good to put rings and that whatever they leave in the dressing room, put them in those baggies. You know.
Huh. Okay, observation 1606. The podcast has really changed into an advertising campaign. No more Skinner talk. Craig doesn't talk about stuff he knows because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
What?
Yeah, you don't read the comments anymore. I'm unsubscribing. Well, I think
Uh,
observation, just as an observation from me, I think you're a jackass. You're wrong because yeah, we do talk about the auction, but you got Christmas coming up, and those guys, a lot of people have donated things, and we do talk about that stuff. We auction it off because we're raising money for the plane crash survivors, but we go over the comments and we ask questions and we talk a lot about Skynyrd. So I think you're just making. I've never even seen Observation 1606 before, but man, hey, if you want to unsubscribe, whatever. YouTube unsubscribes people all the time without them even asking to be unsubscribed. So more power to you, brother. If you don't like it, there's not too many other Lynyrd Skynyrd podcasts out there, though, I can tell you about. But
it's
go
funny
join a
because
fan club.
this was in my notes that I just threw over there. I just passed by them, but when we were doing this thing, and I was gonna kind of read this before I did the auction thing, because you kind of mentioned that the other day, something about somebody was complaining that we talk too much about the other stuff and we don't talk about Skynyrd stuff. And I wrote this. I said, I hate doing these podcasts and pimping viewers for donations. This podcast is supposed to be intended to answer questions fans have about Lynyrd Skynyrd that the people who wrote books have that the people who wrote books have no idea what really happened in the inner circle of Lynyrd Skynyrd, because they were not there and I was, you know so yeah, that's what the intention of this, to give, let people be aware of some of the stuff that I saw and all that stuff, and give them little insight. And I never intended this thing to do these donations and everything, and I hate it, but it's really helping these people. We've collected a lot of money for these people, and like Griff said, he talked to some people, and they go, "Man, I heard we're getting some money. I could really use it." So
Yeah,
yeah, but we'll talk about the donations at the end. But yeah, we usually talk about the donations at the beginning, and maybe we should start doing it at the end. I don't know.
that way, if you don't want to see anything about the donations, then you can just cut it off there. But you can fast forward through anything you don't like.
Yeah.
So, I like to watch these Civil War metal detector guys, and they go around and they dig stuff up. And the Aqua Chigger, he's one of my favorite, and he'll tell you, he'll go, "Hey, if you don't want to see me digging stuff up, I mean, I dig up trash, I'll dig up a soda can." He said, "Just fast forward to the end." And we'll do a roundup of everything I found, and he goes, "You can just do it that way. So if you guys don't like anything, you do have a fast forward button on there, so you don't have to watch it." But just one more comment here, Craig, and Patricia Lynn. She wants to send a message to Clayton Johnson. Hey, Clayton, if you're listening, please come on the podcast and share some stories. Which
Satan won't do it.
Yeah.
I've asked him. He won't. He don't want to get involved in this stuff.
Then another thing I just wanted to mention before we go into the auction stuff, the last podcast where I was over at Gene's house and he showed that contract, that was not a blood oath agreement. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, that's the blood oath agreement." Kent Griffith kind of got his dander up over that, and he left a comment in there, and he's right. It was not a blood oath agreement, but it did prove that those people that were on that contract that allowed Gene to sell books and T-shirts were actually the people in charge of Lynyrd Skynyrd. So in a roundabout way, it proved the blood oath agreement. So that's what the whole reason for bringing that letter into court was. So I had Gene read it, And I even videotaped it so you guys could see what was on there. We weren't hiding anything.
Somebody,
So that being
so,
said, Craig, let's
well,
go over all the auction stuff.
well, yeah, but well, since you brought that up the other day, said somebody posted a copy of Uncivil Wars, and I was watching that, and they were talking about the Blood Oath Agreement, and they
Yeah.
said that nobody remembered it, but Judy did, and she sued him. Yeah, they
Yeah.
talked about that. Yeah, but
Yeah, and she brought Gene into court, and he had that letter, and that helped her case. So that's why Gene mentioned it. So
boy, have you seen the price of silver skyrocketing? It's $66 an ounce now.
oh yeah, hmm.
Yeah, it's supposed to go to 280 an ounce. So,
You got a lot of silver, don't you?
oh,
Gene says you got it buried in jars all around your property.
I got a little bit of silver, not a lot. So, anyways, yeah, these T-shirts went really well. We got $800 out of those 5 T-shirts. And Robert Wheatley bought the Sounds of the South T-shirt for $200, and Robert Wheatley bought the Last Ticket T-shirt for $200, and he got the One More from the Road T-shirt for $100. That was my favorite one, and it sold for the cheapest. I can't believe it. Um, Mary Regan won the Rostington Collins Band T-shirt last night in last bid. Before I went to bed, she was battling it out with Gary Seymour, and Mary finally ended up winning about 1 o'clock in the morning or so. It was crazy. But
Mm.
she paid $150 for that T-shirt. And Monica Buffington bought the Alan Collins Band T-shirt for, or baseball uh, jersey type of thing for $150, and those were both double extra large. Monica said heck, it would be way too big on her, but she'd sleep in it. Monica's husband's is the one that Kelsey, one that made that wooden flag for me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made one of that. He made one for Gene. Yeah, you said he made one for Gene.
Yeah.
He's making one for Mark Frank too. So yeah, but yeah, we got $800 out of those T-shirts, and then yeah, so I made these things here up. Yeah, Robert Wheatley. Robert Wheatley gave us $500, and Monica Buffington $150, and Mary Regan $150. She got the Rustin Collins Band shirt, the white one with the red. Jack Miller, he sent $30 for Gene Odom, so that goes toward Gene for a little bit extra for Gene. And I got exactly how much everybody's going to get this time. So here we go. Let me see here. Oh God. All right. Hold on a minute. Okay. Okay. We took in a total this in the last 3 months. We took in $5,960. So we were just $40 short of taking in $6,000. And Mark Frank. Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Mark Frank, you got $1,186 coming. And out of that, we're going to take $15 out to ship all this stuff out. So you'll get $1,170 basically is what you're going to get. And everybody else is going to get the same amount, $1,170. You're going to get a check for $1,170, except for Gene Odom is going to get a check for $1,200 exactly, because Jack Miller sent him that $30, so it gave him an extra $30. So Gene, you're getting a check for $2,000 even, and everybody else is getting one for
$1,200.
$1,200, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting a check for $1,170, and Gene's getting one for $1,200. So there you go. Can't be exact and open about the whole situation as we've been this time around, since I got my shit together and got everything on Excel. So, because I used to.
And funny thing about it is, Mark Frank donated that belt buckle, which sold for how much, Craig?
$750.
Yeah, so he could have sold that thing on his own, and probably gotten. So that was nice of him to do that. He sold his own belt buckle and then got some of the money back. But we appreciate that, Mark. That was a nice gesture.
So I'll put up my address, my post office box here, and then all those people that bought those T-shirts can send in that money, and then I'll be sending all these people their money here by this time next week, so they'll get it by Christmas time.
Which is Paul Welch, Mark Howard, Mark Frank, Leslie Hawkins, and Gene Odom.
Yeah, they're the recipients, but Robert Wheatley, he already knows. I told him today that he was winner. He's sending me a check. So Monica and Monica Buffington and Mary Regan. Yeah. Oh God, where's my thingy here? Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, there's my P.O. box.
Yeah, so as soon as you guys send that money out, try to get it as quick as you can, because we're trying to get the money to them before Christmas or around Christmas, so they can, have a nice Christmas.
Mark Frank will get his right away, because I'm going to send him in Zelle. That's his money. I send him on Zelle, so all I got to do is get his email address and he'll have it. So if anybody's got Zelle, I can do that to you too, if you want to. Leslie or Mark Howard or.
They probably don't even watch the podcast. I think Mark Frank watches it, but I don't think anybody else really pays too much attention.
Your Zelle information, and I'll Zelle it to you. Otherwise,
All right, Craig. I guess we can wrap it up. We're all done here with the comments, questions, and then the going over the
all right,
auction.
Cool. So all right. So it's been another pleasure being with y'all on the Stone Roadie show. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Except we'll be with you next Monday on the 21st, and that's before Christmas too. So like the song says, he might sing Happy Trails to you at the end. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, and keep token unto then, and see you later, alligator, at the wild crocodile. And that'll be a wrap, and here was another one. See you later, bye.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, keep token until then.